Once again, a big greetings to everyone, given that I recorded an interview with my guest 7 months ago, in which we mentioned actually the continuation of the idea of recording Pranayama webinar. So finally, the moment has come to do it. And without further ado, I present to you my sister in the tradition, as well as one of the gurus in the tradition of the Nath Sampradaya. She, Yogi Lakṣmīnāth Mahārāj. Lakshmiji, welcome back. And the scene, the stage is yours, and you can actually freely lead us into this wonderful subject of the pranayama. And of course, before we start, Adesh.
Adesh, Mahakalanat, and thank you for inviting me. I think it will be very useful for people who are interested in yoga, in pranayama, in all this great knowledge of the ancient times. Today, we'll talk about a very important part of yoga, this pranayama, as you know. And nowadays, many people know pranayama as a breathing techniques, and I can say that they are completely wrong. But it is not only breathing techniques. Pranayama is connected with all our life. And many modern yoga practitioners know about pranayama, but don't practice it seriously. Maybe because they have tried but didn't get any significant changes, or maybe the reason is the lack of competent teachers. I really don't know, but what I know is the topic of pranayama requires more accurate and deeper understanding to gain good results from the practice. And here today for you, I prepared some little presentation to maybe to understand better what I'm saying. And now I will share the screen. Okay, I suggest starting with the etymology of words prana and pranayama. The Sanskrit language is always important to me because it often reveals the essence of words and terms of yoga. So let's start. The word prana comes from the roots pra, to fill, nourish, or from the root pri, which means to protect, to keep alive, and from the root an, to breathe, to live. So prana can be translated as life, breathe, spirit, vital energy, or vital wind of the body. It is something that pulsates because breathing works to the inhalation and exhalation, and is a pulsation spanda or spandana. Some texts view prana as a process of expansion and contraction, like this, as a pulsation of life in all that exists in all universe. Simply put, it is life energy, and it is everywhere, inside us, outside, around us. So moving next, the word pranayama consists from two, prana and ayama. You can see that on the screen. Ayama means stretching or extending, restraining, and control. And originates from the root yam, to restrain, hold, or expand. And maybe you know about yama as a part of yoga, first stanga of Ashtanga yoga. That means self-control and includes several rules like ahimsa, satya, and so on. And so the pranayama comes from the same root as yama. But, the meaning is a little bit different, but connected with yama. Now we can see that pranayama means the extending of prana, but also restraining and control of prana. The more we understand what prana is, the better our practice of pranayama goes. That's why we dive a little into the history of the concept of prana and the method of controlling it, that is pranayama. A historical perspective. First, the concept of prana appears in the Vedas, so it's very ancient. And in the Vedas and Upanishads, the term prana is used both in the sense of ordinary breathing and in a broader meaning as a Brahman or Atman itself. That is a supreme universal spirit, or we can call it Purusha. That also means the spirit. In Jaimini Upanishad Brahmana, there is a shloka, Atha yaha Purushaha sa pranastat sama tad brahma tadamritam. Then he who is Purusha is Prana, it is Sama, it is Brahman, it is Amrita. So Vedic rishis identified Prana with Amrita, the nectar of immortality, nectar of existence. Also, Prana is the creator of the universe, Prajapati, or his power that fills all living beings, all living things as the breath of life in everything that exists. Prajapati became Prana in 5 forms to alive all created beings. Prana, as well as Atman, is called the knower of a body, Kshetrajna. Kshetra means body with all senses and mind. Also, Prana was identified with sun, or vital individual spirit. Prana in the human body is the inner aspect of spirit. And the external aspect of spirit is the sun, the spirit of universe. Prana is also a sacred fire, or our inner fire. And our regular inhalations and exhalations are the sacrificial offerings into this fire. Taittiriya Upanishad says that breath is the life of beings, therefore it is called Sarvayusha. That can be translated life of all. So we can see that in Vedic times, concept of prana was quite important and comprehensive. In that times, pranayama, the practice of extending and control of prana, was related with Vedic rituals and chanting of mantras. For example, during the yajna, fire ritual, it was prescribed to make an oblations holding the breath. Or when you chant a long Vedic mantra, you should do it in one breath. And your exhalation should be quite long. Without significant lungs capacity and controlling the breath, it was not going to be possible. Later, during the Smriti time of Mahabharata, or early Puranas, the pranayama practice still found to be part of religious rituals. it is beginning to be used as an independent practice. For example, the reference from the well-known Manusmriti tell us about how it was one of the important activities and also how it worked on the body. Ekakshara para Brahma, Pranayama param tapaha means Ekakshara or syllable Om or Aum is the highest Brahman, and Pranayama is the highest tapas or asceticism. And the purpose of doing it could be related to clean the impurities at the spiritual, physical, and mental levels. In Bhagavad Gita, Pranayama is described as inner sacrifice. When we offer as sacrifice the outgoing breath and in the incoming breath and vice versa. Or restrain the incoming and outgoing breaths, offering them into the inner fire of consciousness. Different types of the sacrifice, but leading to the one goal. In yogic and tantric texts, prana in general is often called Shakti, Prana, Shakti, or Kundalini, Spanda. Different terms is used. And it is energy in different forms, as we can see. Some use the term Spanda, pulsation of life, in the texts of Kashmir Shaivism, for example. In yogic texts, you often can find the synonyms of prana like Vayu, Vata, Pavana. All these words mean the wind or air and are used for different aspects of prana in the body. So it is a vital wind of the body. With the development of Tantra and Yoga, especially Hatha Yoga, Pranayama is increasingly seen as purifying breathing practice with the detailed descriptions of inhalation, Puraka, exhalation, Rechaka, and retention, Kumbhaka. You can see that Kumbhaka is given great importance, and 8 main pranayamas or Kumbhakas appear in the texts. We can see that prana has the universal aspect as the Mahashakti or Prakriti, nature, or absolute divine spirit, Purusha. And prana has an individual aspect manifesting in our body. So we move to the individual aspect in the body briefly, because it's important to understand how it moves in our body for pranayama practice. In the human body, prana manifests itself in the 5 main pranas or vayus. Vayu means wind, as I've already said, synonym of prana. And there are 5 additional vayus also, but we will consider only the main ones. Prana, in its various aspects, controls all body functions. First is pranavayu, that is connected with the breathing process and reception of all types. Eating of food, drinking of water, and inhalation of air. Also the reception of sensory impressions and mental experiences. And pranavayu moves inward and upward in the body. And it is located in the area of the chest because it's connected with breathing, with lungs. Apanavayu is responsible for all forms of elimination and reproduction. And apana moves outward and downward in the body, and it is located in the lower belly area. Samanavayu is connected with all levels of transformation, and It is our physical digestion and subtle digestion as well. What is absorption of energy, digestion of experiences, impressions, and so on. So we usually consume not only food, but a lot of anything around us, energies, impressions, other people energies. So it is important why. Samana is located in the navel area. As you can see in the picture, Udana, Vayu, is energy that moving upward, and it governs growth of the body and the ability to stand, to speak, connected with efforts, any type of efforts and will, enthusiasm, how we starting to do something. Is connected with the memory and mind also. And it is located in the area of the throat and head, this area, and moving upward. And it is connected, especially connected with the raising of Kundalini Shakti. And last one, Vyana Vayu, moves from the center to the periphery, and it governs circulation on all levels, movements of the body. And we can say that Vyana assists the work of other Vayus. So it is everywhere in our body and little bit outside of it, like in our aura. And it is important for circulation, like and even on physical levels, like nervous system and endocrine system and so on. But also Vyana Vayu controls the energy circulation. Especially it's important when you practice yoga. There are not only physical aspects of these 5 Vayus, but also subtle energy aspects. And you can notice them during the practice when your energy gradually awakens. So you start to feel different movements of prana and different aspects of your energy. So you start to understand where is prana, where is apana, and so on, and samana. So it is connected with experience more than just theoretic knowledge. So we can see that prana is the ruler of all our activities, and prana is usually associated with the health, and health in Sanskrit, swastha. It is our own state, so it's natural state, inherent state for us. Prana is also natural for us if it moves freely. So our health, immune system, speech, and emotions, and overall mood depend on the quality and quantity of the prana. And our mind also deeply connected with prana. The control of mind is not easy task. That's why yogis usually use the pranayama for that. If you can control the prana, you can control the mind and achieve chitta vritti nirodha, the stopping mind's fluctuations. As you probably know, the flow of prana can be blocked, and it is cause of reducing our vitality, cause of the health problems and mental and emotional problems. And signs of freely moving prana are spontaneity and naturalness, good health and immune system, So person shines from within if a person has proper circulation of prana, if he has a lot of pure energy. So this is the sign of good prana. Now let's look at how we can expand or increase capabilities of vital energy and consciousness. So Prāṇāyāma. Next, the means of Pranayama. Yoga provides a rich range of methods for controlling the prana, and they may at first glance contradict each other. So it is important to proceed from what is clear and works most effectively for you, and not to act blindly. True pranayama can be achieved through awareness of any natural life process. Since we are inseparable from our life and the vital energy that is present in us. And a state of full energy can be achieved simply by avoiding what leads to its loss. For example, this could be avoiding some patterned behavior or stereotypical thinking, avoiding unnecessary waste of prana through the food, sex, breathing, movement, communication. Breathing is our basic instinct directly related to life, and we can control it a little. So be aware of it, and therefore the use of breathing techniques is the most famous way of practicing pranayama. Also, we can lose energy through the speech and unnecessary communication. That is why the control of speech helps in preserving the energy. Food is essential source of prana, and therefore it matters what we eat, the quality of food and water for quality of our prana. It is important to remember here that overeating is undesirable, of course, since the digestion process requires a lot of energy. So we can waste our prana to this. And also prolonged fasting, also undesirable for yogi because it depletes prana reserves, decrease. Short fasting can be useful. One important principle of energy accumulation is yama and niyama. I want to say a little bit about it. Restrictions and regulations, way of life. And they are associated with dharma. Dharma can be interpreted as correct behavior or as following the laws of the universe, or when you follow your own path in this reality. The word dharma comes from the root dhi, to hold, maintain, or preserve. So that is, you follow to something that saves your energy and does not get involved in adharma, that which leads to unconscious, uncontrolled behavior and losing energy. So dharma is connected with pranayama. Through the yama and niyama, by regulating your actions in society, you can preserve prana. With the right actions, what does not create a wrong situation that would lead to the loss of prana. However, the principles of yama and niyama should not be understood strictly, literally. In this case, they will lead to suppression or to the loss of your natural state. You know, people usually understand brahmacharya or satya very literally, and they have problems in life, or ahimsa. So we should be wise when we try to follow this yama and niyama and listen to teachers if it's possible on this topic. Also, prana is connected with awareness, and a higher level of awareness leads to control of prana, including control of automatic functions and behavior. So it really helps. If we talk about yogic practices, I have identified several basics ones that help improve the quality of prana and increase its quantity. Of course, pranayama breathing techniques is the main one, but there are others. Asanas remove blocks, patterns in the body and consciousness, so they give and release energy. The practice of mantras helps to change the prana, its quality, and gives the energy, because mantra itself is the container of energy. And mantra also affects the mind, change the mind condition, and therefore prana is changed. The rituals like puja or havan or yagya, fire ritual, purify our energy state and removes energy blocks also. And guru seva, or selfless service to the guru, also does the same purification of the energy condition, mind condition. Tapas or asceticism is the powerful mean for purification and increase in the inner energy, inner fire, for awakening Kundalini Shakti. The inner fire produced by tapasya can burn all the imperfection and all the blocks in the way of prana. So it's really powerful, but difficult method for many social people. Usually sadhu practice the tapas for the means of purification and increasing fire. Pranayama refines and calms the perception. And it is a mistake to think that pranayama is only breathing. So I try to show you that it's not only breathing. We have a certain supply of prana depending on our karma, our sanskaras, and imprints of past actions. And sanskaras can only be changed through the tapasya, this powerful, serious practice. You can save prana by shutting off those sources that take it away, and the most diverse instincts take it away. Breathing is just one of them. A person cannot live without breathing. And by suspending unused reflexes, reserve energy appears that can be used for other purposes. When a yogi gives up excesses, then this is pranayama. So we save our energy. This is pranayama. For example, yogi refused to chat a lot, talk about nothing, because it wastes energy, and instead observes mauna. You know, when you don't talk long period of time. This is how energy accumulates and Prāṇāyāma occurs expansion and increase in the level of prana. In social life, a person can practice breathing techniques, but according to other criteria, spend a lot of prana. For example, eat a lot, freak out, become depressed, this greatly reduce the prana reserve, although the person does the breathing techniques. Breathing techniques are not just breathing. They are performed simultaneously with meditation and sometimes with certain bija mantras that are given to calm the mind. And if prana moves smoothly throughout the body, then the mind becomes smooth and calm and without a lot of thoughts. And vice versa, if the mind becomes even and calm, then prana becomes even and calm. So we can see that if one thing is out of balance, then even if you breathe, nothing will work. So if you breathe ruggedly and sharply, when it will be not pranayama. It will be just a breathing exercise that leads nowhere. How we breathe is important. And the state of mind is important to get success in pranayama. And also I want to mention that consciousness should always be involved in the practice, be it pranayama, asana, or anything else. Otherwise, it will not be hatha yoga, which is the union of the sun and the moon. The sun is our prana, Shakti and energy, and the moon is consciousness. So we should be aware always in the breathing process, what is happening with us, and we should try to connect or join our consciousness, our attention with the prana and with the flow of energy in our body. And this proper practice of pranayama, fluctuation in our consciousness, chitta vritti nirodha, as Patanjali said, and fluctuation in our prana nirodha, should disappear. Nirodha means stop or disappearing. That is the higher realization in pranayama. And when we have this realization, or the more fluctuations stop, the less sensation and more peace appears in our condition. So it is not necessary to feel a lot of experience during pranayama, some images or extra things that people usually want. So you became more calm and silent, and your feelings, your sensations, they decrease. So it leads to the even state. It's better to know this because people usually wait for something. Accordingly, no matter what changes occur or experiences, they should not be the goal in the practice. And it is better to consider as a goal the highest state of yoga, which arises from the unification of prana and consciousness at all levels of being. So when practicing pranayama, you need to understand what is the impossible to separate any technique from life. It is important that every aspect of the practice is in resonance with other aspects of your nature, of your life. Because the preservation and expansion of prana occurs through the following your nature, your path, your dharma. Let's move to the main pranayamas. I want to briefly talk about these breathing techniques because, you know, it's the easiest way to follow the pranayama, to practice. And I would highlight several techniques as the basis and preparation for serious pranayama practice. First of all, this is abdominal breathing or belly breathing. It's very simple, but it's very important for all other pranayamas. So here, when we breathe, we use our diaphragm. And as a result, our belly moves. As you inhale, your belly increases. And as you exhale, it drowns inward. For some people, it's usual breathing, but for most, chest breathing is common, you know, when your chest is moving. But belly breathing is good for the health. The full yogic breathing, the second technique, uses belly breathing and the chest breathing up to collarbones. So we try to feel with the air and prana the entire capacity of the lungs. So it's a fullness when we inhale, and when we exhale, we experience the complete emptiness. The third one, very famous, I think many people know, the alternate breathing or anuloma viloma. It is very important because it brings the mind and prana into balance, and also teach you to feel the prana in your breath. So you, in this technique, you just inhale through the one nostril and exhale through the other, and vice versa, like very natural breathing without any retention. Just feel the movement of air and prana. The last one is Kapalabhati, also a very popular intensive breathing. Even in yoga centers, they all do this. And in yogic texts, it's often classified as Shatkarma, cleansing technique. But Kapalabhati also has an effect on energy, and it redirects the sensory perception inward. So you will be able for good pratyahara after Kapalabhati to redirect your attention to the inner space. Kapalabhati means the shining skull, you know, shining head. It increases the level of prana because it is intensive breathing. Some yogis, as I know, they use it as the main technique. Just few times of Kapalabhati and then go to the into the dhyana. So for them, it's enough. But to do this, you should have high level of realization in yoga, in prana. So when your prana state is good, quite good, you can just use a little of techniques to to change something and go deeper. As we talk about the pranayama techniques themselves, when the texts often list the 8 main ones, you can see the list. Classical Sakhita Kumbhakas. They are often called Kumbhakas because holding the breath is the main element in there. There are variations in the text, but in general, these are the main ones that I listed here. And I gave the short description of each. We don't go today deeper in each of the techniques because it's a lot of explanations, and usually it's better to master them in the practical class, not just in theory or lecture. So I also want to explain you about elements of pranayama process. As I said, the kumbhaka usually is the main element in the pranayama technique. And I made a diagram here. You can see, for best understanding, Patanjali defines 4 elements in pranayama: inhalation, puraka or filling; exhalation, rechaka or emptying; and retention, kumbhaka. And there are 4 elements, embrace them all. In later texts, in Hatha Yoga texts, the 4th element was called Kevala Kumbhaka. And the usual breath holding, which is connected with inhalation or exhalation, began to be called Sahita Kumbhaka. You can see in the center of this diagram. This Sahita Kumbhaka we used in this pranayamas, like Nadi Shodhana, Ujjaya, Surya Bheda, Bhastrika, and so on. And that type of cessation of breathing, which is not connected with inhalation or exhalation, was called Kevala Kumbhaka. And Kevala means alone, not connected with anything else, or isolated. And we can say that Kevala Kumbhaka is one of the goals of pranayama and the path to the state of dhyana and samadhi. Kevala occurs naturally when prana is so balanced and so pure that inhalation and exhalation are absorbed into each other and practically disappear. So it's a natural retention of the breath. In a normal state, when we inhale and exhale, the left and right channels, or Ida and Pingala, are active. In the state of Kevala Kumbhaka, Sushumna, the central channel, is active. And practitioner sadhaka naturally experiences a state of inward absorption into this Sushumna state, Sushumna non-dual state, I say so. Pratyahara arises naturally in this moment, and concentration or dharana is performed with easy and quickly develops into dhyana. That's why Kevala Kumbhaka is so important. The texts say that through the perfection in Kevala Kumbhaka, the practitioner achieves liberation, even moksha, and nothing is impossible for him. And in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it is said, you see this quote, Tatah kshiyate prakasha varanam. So as a result of Kevala Kumbhaka, of Pranayama, of true Pranayama, the obstacle to the light or prakasha, light of consciousness, is destroyed. That is the veil that hides the light of consciousness of Atman from us is removed thanks to Kevala Kumbhaka, which binds together the internal and external. This means that we can freely perceive and experience the light of consciousness, the light of our Atman. In yoga language, it is called Atmanubhava, the experience of Atman. So all pranayama techniques, all Sahita Kumbhakas in which we use certain patterns of breathing and retention should lead to the natural occurrence of Kevala Kumbhaka. This is the main goal, at least one of them. In general, the topic of pranayama is very broad, and it is difficult to cover everything in one introductory webinar. And I tried to give you an idea what prana is, what pranayama is, and how it is connected with entire life. We can learn to feel it at every moment, to feel prana, I mean. And it really helps in practice, in the whole yoga practice. I also try to tell you that pranayama is not only breathing techniques, and this is important to understand. That pranayama is directly related to your lifestyle and worldview. That some little theory is very important, because the better you understand what is happening with you, the better your practice goes. And next, you can study the techniques directly and begin your practice, preferably under the guidance of some experienced teacher who can transfer the correct state of practice to you. Because there are a lot of videos on YouTube and a lot of sources. The techniques of pranayama are explained, so you can use them, but a teacher or guru is much more better because he can transfer his realized state of pranayama to you. And also there are many technical details, many recommendations for successful practice that can be done by him to you. Sometimes it's very individually approach. Some recommendations can be common. So it depends on situation. But the main thing is to move gradually in pranayama. Hatha Yoga Pradipika says that pranayama is tamed like a wild animal, like a lion or elephant. That is slowly, very carefully, regularly. That means your practice should be like this, very accurate, very careful. I want to wish everyone success in mastering pranayama, and even if you learn the basics only, it will make a big difference to your health and your yoga practice. Because you don't need to learn them all 8 kumbhakas and so on. Just a basic thing. So I finish here.
For now.
Yeah, for now. A lot of information, and it's important to digest this.
Well, I carefully listened to everything that you explained to us. It was very beautiful, very concise, very precise, into the details, and actually more than enough for a kind of, as you said, an introductory webinar of pranayama. And at the same time, I've enjoyed in mauna, in my, at least on a level of not speaking. So it was an interesting experience for this approximately 1 hour or so. For those in attendance, so to say, for all of you who are interested to really learn, practically learn, not only in theory, as Lakshmiji also said, because even the books, even the great classicals, it's everything, it's fine, nothing against it, but it's a kind of a reference point. So if you're open and if you're willing and if you feel an urge or a need to dive deep into the topic of the pranayama and really experience firsthand, my completely honest recommendation is you can contact Lakshmiji. In our previous, it was 7 months ago or so, interview, I left your Instagram profile and your website actually as well. So I will do it same for this one. And for all interested, you can contact Lakshmiji. And I think that you can maybe tell us a little bit from time to time, either in a kind of a group sessions or individual ones. It depends, but you're open to it from time to time, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I conduct the group sessions, like online courses on pranayama. A few times per year, maybe 1-2 times every year. It happen.
Right.
Yeah, because people are interested in pranayama, and they need this flow of energy from me. I mean,
Yeah.
when we practice together, it's important.
And it's quite an experience. And
Yeah, in one group, or sometimes it's in individual sessions, but group is also good.
indeed. And one more detail for the very end. Yes, I'm also glad that you mentioned here and there is, between the lines and a couple of moments during this webinar, a great importance of, first and foremost, not connecting the pranayama only with breathing techniques. Extraordinarily important. The lifestyle itself, because if you do every day, let's say 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, it doesn't matter, and you do it even correctly, but then you go out into the public and do all the kind of nonsense things, and you speak too much and you
Yeah,
eat too much and you have a intimate relationship too much, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter,
yeah,
and it goes out.
definitely. You just waste your practical
Yeah.
experience of this, your purity that you received on the practice. That's why it's important. But it's important for the all yoga practices, not only for pranayama, but most of all for pranayama. Because without energy, without sufficient reserve of energy, you can't progress in your yoga sadhana. You can't have the success and level up, upgrade. You can't do it.
Correct.
You need prana for that.
Correct. Maybe I can share something which can be made interesting in a way for some people. A couple of details, that which is also of a great importance, but those people who come to you can learn that directly from you. But there is a great importance. You mentioned asanas in one of the important aspects, the building blocks as well as the mantra, the japa mantra sadhana, the so on and so forth, the tapas itself. For me personally, from I can honestly say that there are two very important details. The first one, I will say, it's a laya yoga, opening the granthis itself so the prana can circulate much better throughout the body. Thing number one. And thing number two, I can say also the Mahamudra itself. Very important. They will learn from you. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you that that mudras and bandhas are deeply connected with pranayama, but it is more advanced things. Yeah, because first you need to have some quantity of prana to use the mudras and bandhas to feel something from that. Because I know many examples from the practitioners in yoga centers. They did a lot of mudras and bandhas and so on, but they felt nothing, and they had no changes at all. So,
unfortunately, even most of the time, the so-called yoga centers, actually, it is questionable how much of the pranayama is there at all.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Interesting thing for the very end. Some time ago, I did it in my matribhasha, in my native language, my mother language, in Serbian. It was a kind of a connection of Jyotisha in terms of Chandra, the moon, and because it is firstly and foremost, it represents the mind and emotions and also the fluctuations of the mind. Now, and it was about the moon, the prana, the mind, and control, something like that. In December of last year. So eventually I will do it in English as well, but it is a combination of Jyotisha and my experience throughout the years and so on. And actually that which is interesting, you mentioned the Surya, the sun at one moment, as we can say a kind of it is also a form of prana in itself. Most definitely it is a kind of a solidified state of prana. That is the Surya. But that which is also interesting, because we have the Ida and Pingala, the sun and the moon, the Shiva and the Shakti, the mother and the father, and so on. We can continue, right? The left and the right. And that play between the Surya and the Chandra, between the consciousness and the mind, between the prana and the consciousness, it is a very interesting thing, because for the most of the people, they don't realize it actually at all most of the time. It is because the mind, that is interesting thing, for most of the people, where mind goes in terms of, we have, I think, like 70,000 thoughts per day or something like that. Ridiculous. Now, and the people are actually not aware that the mind is their lord or the master most of the time. So if we are not aware of it, and if we are not aware of the prana itself and all those intricate details and the conscious part of everything, it goes out to this very quickly. Where thought process goes, where the mind goes, also the prana goes there. It is similar like if the person talks too much about what she or he will accomplish. And most of the time, the people who speaks too much about the ideas, they don't do nothing at all at the very end. And it is similar like that thing with the mind and the prana. So in order to not lose our creative ability and our, the Kundalini Shakti and everything else, because everything is interconnected, the Kundalini, the consciousness, the prana, everything is, we need to be aware of the prana. We can do something with breathing techniques as well. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if we do that consciously, attentively, with a full awareness, we can master it to the extent that then where the prana goes, the mind dissolves, and we are not tormented with the thought process anymore. Extremely important.
Thank you, Mahārāj. Yeah, it's important. That's why I said there are a lot of details and explanations of some processes, and that's really important that you mentioned now. And and that's why I started from explanation what the prana is, because we need to understand that prana is everywhere, and we can be aware of it in every moment of life, and that is how we can control it, not only through the breathing techniques but through the awareness, as you said, and slowly we can control the mind also and dissolve the mind. This is, as you mentioned, Laya yoga, but anyway, it's also advanced thing, because a lot of people, they can understand what is it, but for the future we should mention it.
Indeed. Bahut dhanyavad. Many thanks to you. Many thanks. And I know that we will continue. Maybe we can do some kind of traditional thing to record once a year something for this channel. Who knows?
Okay, good idea.
But yeah, we will continue. Thank you again. Shubhamastu, फिर मिलेंगे. Adesh.
Adesh. As you said, Shubhamastu or Kalyanamastu.